logical psychiatry. This one's going to be a kind of a mixture of things here. One is the fact that have you ever noticed when you talk to a person that they think they know more than you do? Thereby, also, when it comes to political venues, they automatically think, "Oh, I know this country's history." Like, for example, there was this one older woman, about say 50, 60, maybe 70, um, if not if not late 40s to maybe early 80s, depending. Anyways, this one woman um, that apparently was attending the class that I've been taking to enhance my computer skills. That she thought she knew this country's history. She by claiming one, oh, you know that the Democrats did a lot for this country for over 100 years. And I go, no. And instead of going the fact, okay, what do you think then? She automatically assumed that I was lost or or as if I don't know nothing when I do. The basic fact is, in this country's history, in the U.S. of A., there were a larger number of Republicans and moderate Republicans from even at starting from after General George Washington, and who we know as also President Washington, which basically was the one of many of the founding fathers of this country that was generally a general in in all in his lifetime, and a good portion of his lifetime, and thereby there was there's no political party affiliation. So the 100 years aspect had no correlation of party affiliation. So her aspect of like the Democrats did things for the country for 100 years is debunked. Thereby, there's a base of the way she acted, which is known to be narcissistic, and that can be compiled with emotional pain, emotional hate, emotional confusion, in which she thought I was confused when I'm not. I've never been confused, especially when it comes to our country's history, and anger. There could be a number of other things, but those are the good portions of it, and also emotional sadness, and also loneliness. Those are another good it essentially goes all into one general metaphorical ball. Thereby, she thinks that she can just get away with saying that I was confused or lost when I'm not. So, guess what? The woman who said that, and if any of my classmates are watching this, you know who I'm talking about. She's the one that passed around the papers that I had copied of what I was doing a presentation of that one time when it came to what I do on a more than a day-to-day basis. outside of the classroom, which is, of course, advocating, and even outside of this. And first off, though, she acted like she was all caring and understanding and all this sort of bullshit, right? But guess what? The mask came off that one day. Just because she didn't agree with what I said on that one particular piece of paper that I made copies of myself. And I showed it to her and one other person, and well, two other people. One of the three found it fascinating what I said, and therefore he agreed with what I said. I'm not going to say which he it is, out of respect for one. But when I showed it to her, she read it, and then she gave it back to me. Therefore, she is a big time narcissist if she thinks that everything I said is not factual in her mind. And that's why I'm labeling her as a narcissist, not only in the emotional aspect, but also psychological aspect, which still forms into that big ball. And there's a number of them that will listen to you, even ask you, okay, why do you say this, or why do you say that, or why did you say what you said right here? But she's one of those that thinks that she knows more than you, regardless of the age that the person may be. And that also goes into the aspect that the person that's a big time narcissist needs some psychological help. And if she don't get any, she's going to lose support. Emotional, psychological support from not only family members, if she has any, still, and also from friends. Even though friends that say, oh, I'll always be here for you. I've heard many people say that, but guess what? It doesn't always ring true when they say, oh, I'll always be here for you. No matter what it is. You need someone to confide in. I'm here. You need someone to talk to on about anything. I'm here. You need someone to relent things on and about. I'm here. Don't open yourself too far, because they can take advantage of that. Even narcissists have been well known to take advantage of that. But I can tell you one thing though, is that if she ever talked to me again, I wouldn't say a word to her. But even if I did, she wouldn't like it. and I don't care. Because the basic fact is that she didn't even think it through of why I said what I said on that damn piece of paper that she read that she may have disagreed with. Hey, I'm not gonna have you have a person read something, and if they don't agree with it, fine. But they don't need to go to the points of saying, well, this is why I don't like it, and this and that and the other. Oh, I know more than you, and that's why I'm acting this way, type of thing. You know, she knows the fact that I know more about the computer than any of those people there in that class. And the only idiot in that class so far is the narcissist idiot bitch that I'm referring to. And the one general thing. She doesn't see that she has any problem. Narcissists have a way of doing that too, hiding shit that they need to work on within themselves. They try to cover it up as if it's nothing. Oh, it's like no big thing. Oh, here's something. Okay, I know this would be essentially collaborate as noticed as narcissism within me, but I don't have that. Oh, this is no big things. I can handle that. Really. Narcissism goes to not only in emotional anger aspects and hate and dislike and confusion within yourself, even about the general public and what's been going on and the way you're living and how you're living and the way you're handling living your life and your situations. It goes also deeply emotional within you, trying to figure out something for you within you and how to handle it a lot better. Because obviously, it could easily be to the point where you don't feel like you're handling anything, to where things keep on hitting you, and you wonder why. She needs to really take the time, and if she's not willing to, then guess what? The more she relents, even within herself. This also can happen to men too. But if each time the person relents within themselves, the person will essentially go to the points of depression. Deep, deep, deep depression. So deep that you won't be able to reach in far enough because it would completely consume you. And with women, it can easily hit them pretty damn hard to where they come try to act all put together and shit when they're really not. Because women are essentially emotional beings. They're a lot closely tied with their emotions than than men are. And of course, I know, and even in relationships between men and women often wonder why it's so hard for a man to show his emotions. But then, right when they do, right when the man does, they and even if the man doesn't do it overabundantly, right? They eventually maybe I made the wrong choice in choosing him. The one thing is, ladies, if you want a man to be emotional, you cannot expect a person to change who and how they are and where they show their emotions just as much, if not more, than women do, or equally like women do. Because what you're doing really, ladies, is changing them from what attracted you to them, in which will abundantly, more than abundantly, turn to the points to where you lost attraction towards. Where you want to try to find someone that's more stable, because you don't find anything stable within that one person that you were attracted to in the beginning. So generally, women need to realize you want a guy to show their emotion, and you don't think men show emotion quite as enough as women do. You need to realize men are human beings, just as equal to women. Women are wanting to be seen equally as human beings. Men are easily, without a doubt, also human beings. We all piss and shit, maybe not the same way. There are some men that sit down to piss and shit and just piss, and some men, even nowadays, piss standing up. Women have to crouch down. That's a natural race for women. I have yet to see, though, a woman doing what a guy does while they're pissing, just standing up. But the only thing is, it would go right. It would kind of, it would either kind of go straight down and spatter a little bit, right, or go like this. Depending on how, and that also can also depend on how badly they need to go to the bathroom of peeing. I don't mean to be descriptive. I apologize for being descriptive, but I'm being honest. And also, I've noticed one thing though too. In my recent, or I should say, almost semi-recent encounter with women is this. Um, on the way home, I was talking to a woman, maybe in her late teens, early 20s, maybe mid 20s. I started talking with her after I asked her what type of bus she was waiting for. Because basically a I have a phone, my brand new phone here, and be that of course a replacement phone, really. That has a bus app. This sucker has Uber and Lyft on it as well. This particular type of phone app has the bus lines that are within your general area, and Uber and Lyft if Uber and Lyft ever operate in your general county and state. And then I got to talking to her and even more, and she told me exactly her aspect a little bit, and I said, well, yeah, I'm taking a computer class for, and I told her, but I go like, I also advocate outside of that. I go, I advocate for not only American people, which I do. I also advocate for our youth's education, for the developmentally disabled and handicapped and diagnosed disabled, and for our citizens in general. I made a, she may not remember it in that way, but I know it was within those general areas. and she seemed to be interested. How the hell am I supposed to know? See, that's the thing too. Another thing women need to realize: you can't just automatically seem interested or sound interested, even after a guy says what I said to her that she may like. There has to be something more than just a reaction. And I'm not talking you have to push him against bus, the bus shelter, and make passionate love to him, even if you don't feel it, even at that point. I'm not even expecting that. But the one thing is, I could have easily said, well, and after I said, well, stay safe, and she could say, wait a minute, let me join you on the bus so we can talk more. I'm like, all right. But at the same time, I'd make sure that she got to the buses to where she'd be able to reconnect to the bus that she needs to get to before late. Of course, not very many guys would do that. I, being, of course, part of MGTOW and a humanitarian advocate, of course, the humanitarian advocate is my own creation. The way I do it, the way I work it. But the one thing of it is that even with that aspect, I would still make sure she got to where she was going. It doesn't mean I would follow her. Unless she wanted me to spend the night at her place, then of course I'd do it. But the one thing is, I don't automatically. I would not go to where like I automatically spend the night after the first day we meet. And other guys would do it just to think because they're about to get sex out of it, and yet that might not be them on the woman's mind even at that given point. Even after that long conversation on the way to the guy's where the guy's heading to his basic destination before he has to walk to however far down after, if at all. But the one thing also I've noticed is every time I'm with my mother, though, is that when women, even young women, see me with my mother, they think, oh, he might be going with her, or that they might be married or something. Why would I be married to my own mother? Well, that makes no sense now, does it? Why would I be dating my own mother? If a number of you heard me say mom, or even if you don't hear me say that at first, and you hear both my mother and myself talking, it doesn't hurt for the woman to come up to the person, such as myself, to come up to me, and if you're at all interested in me at all, and if you want to get to know me from just aside from the distance, even if you're with a friend of yours as well, be that male or female, then walk up to me, see what's going on. You will see that that if I'm with another person, more than likely it's with my mother. Like for example, today, being of course the 15th of March, 2019. I went over down to to a particular outing with my mother, and on the way back though, because we took a different source of transportation on the way up, On the way back, we took a bus. And I noticed that there was one woman that was sitting right next to her female friend, and her female friend had bifocals with a dark frame, right? The moderate length, the moderate width of the dark frame type of bifocals. You know, like the ones that look like you're a reader type thing, right? And anyways, the woman that was sitting right closer to the wall, which would be also the window of the bus, even though the window of the bus was behind her as well as in front of her. I know she kept on looking my direction, even when I wasn't looking. What do you think was in her mind if she had that deep of interest in me, knowing that I was that and saw the fact that I was looking her direction and she was looking my direction, trying to act like she wasn't looking my direction while she was talking to her female friend? Well, believe me, there's many ways they do it. They do it to the points to where if you look their direction, they don't look your direction. If you don't look towards their direction, they'll look straight at you at times, off and on, even if not even completely direct. There's no fear in coming up to a person like myself and talking with me, even with my mother there. There's no disrespect on that aspect. But believe me, if I found it disrespectful, I would tell the woman, to be honest. But if she had an interest in me, tell me. Even if I were to be by myself, waiting for the bus, even as we talked, even to a certain extent, right? Even before any of the two buses come, if I'm taking the bus at that point in time, that is, too. And see if you have an interest in me, even after I say what I said. In the sense of having some sort of liking towards me. There shouldn't be any holdback. Oh, I wonder if I come up to him, maybe he'll think I'm too forward. That's a possibility with many men, I'll tell you. Some men will take it as and that you're opening yourself up to for a sexual nature, but not all men think that way though. That's another thing women think is that if you come up to a man, he'll think that you want that you're opening yourself up for something sexual. Of course, granted, that's not always the case. Even though you're not really thinking, even though the woman's not really thinking going that direction at that point in time either. So the one thing is simply, ladies, come up to me, talk with me, and then you will see that what I said to be true. You may even find more interesting things about me as we talk. But the one thing is that you need to realize that I am not going to do things to you that you are not ready for. Even if I did, believe me, you would have every right to pull away and walk away. Or at most, I thought you were different, and then walk away. If I did that, that is. But the one thing is, guaranteed, I ain't gonna do that, even at first meet. So basically, the one thing is, ladies, you know now that I won't do that. But the one thing is also is that the average woman does not go to the points to where they automatically do that though. And when the average woman does, which is very seldomly, if at all, then sometimes they find out something they didn't expect. That's a given. But at times they may find out something different, and then somewhere along the lines they may find something that they didn't expect, and sometimes they don't till they themselves are ready. Then they will show that they are ready to the men, but maybe indiscreetly. The one thing is that ladies, you need to be prepared for many things because the the, the average woman has even shown when a guy comes up to you, women, that you don't really show that much interest, even if you did say from afar. You know what I mean? So basically, you need to really weigh out things a lot better. There will be guys that will come up to you still, which is the common thing for men to do since the 1940s, 50s, and what have you else. Mm, and they may say the wrong thing. They may try to lead you on or whatever the hell else. But the one thing is, there's ways to find out if you're being led on by a man. But yet, the same thing for men. There's ways that women lead men on, and women think, oh, we women don't lead men on. They lead us on. You know. So there's no guy that can say that we women lead men on. The one thing is, women, you know you do. You need to realize you need to admit things that you claim that you aren't so innocent about that you know you do. You need to realize that you cannot just say that you're the innocent one. You wouldn't do the things that you do when you obviously do them at your given point in time and when you feel that it's needed or the feel that you would get some sort of reaction that you want from the man that you may think that you will get even if it is not direct, not even at that given point in time. You know what I'm talking about here? The one thing is, ladies, you need to realize that. And if you can't even have not even the slightest inclination, then guess what? You're not really ready to even approach a man or even have a man approach you. That's one thing though, ladies. You need to realize that. And also for the women who think they know more than the man, especially when it comes to politics, when mostly there's a larger percentage of women that do not pay attention to politics because it's too damn dramatic. But yet, what are soap operas, ladies? What are books that have these muscle-bound, ripped, paintings or sketches of men like Hercules type of crap? and 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 the woman's all in his arms and shit like that. Various romance novels. They're dramatic in their own way. So generally, women do that because they're used to drama in their lives, right? So they want to associate their drama with what you see in movies, TV shows, such as CIS, Miami, and whatnot, and like All My Children, As the World Turns, Young and the Restless, and various others, right? And General Hospital as well. I'm gonna tell you one thing though. When I was I'd say 15 going on 16. I used to watch soap operas off and on. And then when I went over to the points where I didn't watch soap operas at all, right? I understood the storyline. Okay, at that point. Thereby, when I was watching it with my mother's coworkers, they were watching General Hospital, at least one of them, or at least one of the times that they were watching a soap opera of General Hospital. They kept on commenting on every various scene, right? And I said, and I put in my 2 cents. I may have been a slight bit off, but hey, at least they saw that fact that I knew, I understood the compilation of things when it came to those damn shows. You know what I mean? But I don't watch soap operas because they're so fucking stupid. They don't they don't even make any sense. They're all filled with a lot of feminist values now. It's not funny. I'd say MGTOW should do a video a compilation video on that. The base of women in soap operas more and more. That and even I know there's feminist women that watch soap operas even today. And yet soap operas come on. So there's been a number of soap operas that come on around 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's soap operas on DVD. It's gone to that extent. Seriously though. So generally, you could tell I know the base of the male-female psyche. So if the woman that was attending the same computer class as I did is watching this video, she knows the fact that I know more than she will ever. And if there's any woman out there that has seen me either with my mother or by myself, but you are too unsure of how to approach me, then you should take the time to really think before you actually do. But don't take too long, because once I see um, something that I need to get over on to get to where I need to go to, you either follow me on the same bus or start talking to me before any of the buses come. I'm gonna tell you the where I was at the time when this woman, or the young woman, um, showed interest. At least the way she came about seemed like she was showing interest, and that is simply that I was over by was it the Citrus Town Center over off of Greenback Sunrise, diagonal from at the bus stop, diagonal from the Wendy's. And yes, the bus stop had a bus shelter, or be that, of course, a cover on the seat. If she's watching this video, and if you want to meet up with me and you don't see me there, wait for me. And if you know it's say 11:30 or so, wait till you actually see me. Even if you have to take the 28 again, keep going to that stop until you actually see me. Of course, you're gonna have to do this before June, because by June, RT is going to change things around. 28 is going to be eliminated. The 24 might be eliminated. So you might have to find ways around it for those who have to take the 28 and 24 in the state of California, in the city and county of where I'm at. And I'm not going to say where that is online. But the basic fact is that I do advocate for people. I do advocate for our children's youth. I do advocate for the disabled, diagnosed, handicapped, and mentally retarded, if you want to call it, or physically challenged as well, and mentally challenged, which would be a better word for it. And I do also advocate for citizens separately, legal citizens. Not one of the ones that Jerry Brown set up to where every immigrant that comes across the border illegally is automatically a citizen. I don't deal with that. If you have that type of documentation, bye. If you don't have any documentation that shows that you're an actual legal citizen, be that, of course, born in the US of A, if you don't have that, then there are many liberal ones that will help you. Liberal advocates that will help you. I'm a conservative Republican advocate for the people and about the people and our youth and the US of A. All in one. I'm also a psychiatrist. I know psychology a lot more than people realize. I know the male and female psyche. Or if you want ladies, you want to put it, I know the female psyche equally as much as I know the male psyche. Yes, I may know, I may understand men, not because of my gender, but I understand both sides. Because one, as I've probably said in one of my videos, when I mentioned a woman about a woman that was on video, if you remember, it was about a woman who made a video on YouTube that said, I want a man. I want a quality man. You remember, if you watch one of my logical psychiatry videos, you'll see what I said there. Because I'm not about to repeat that. That's as far as I'll go with that. But the one thing is, also, I can say, and I'm not going to say one, this may be the last time I say this, but if a woman wants to be with me, I can do one of many things. And it doesn't have to do with money. What it does have to do with is that I can advocate for a woman. I could easily do it for free, but of course there's limitations. You want to know what those limitations are? Talk to me, find out. Because I know if I mention the limitations, you may not like it. You women may not like it. I'm not afraid of saying. If I wanted to say it, I would, but I don't want to right now. I might say it the next video I make. Who's to say? Stay tuned. But all joking aside, I will help. I can easily help a person, both male or female, in the psychological manner, when it comes to psychology, when it comes to emotions and relationships and shit like that, right? And family struggles and any number of things, really. And also, when I can also help a person, both male and female, and teenager, when it comes to advocating on any number of the things and issues. And I may give you some pointers first off, in the sense of as I start advocating, I'd ask you some questions. We could easily sit somewhere, say at a restaurant or something, like a fast food restaurant or something, or at before we go to our destinations. If you were to take the bus, and I was about to take the bus, right? We'd be able to go over to somewhere to sit and talk. You tell me your full reason of the advocating need, whatnot, even more psychology need. That's why I said logical psychiatry in this one. And that's why I say CRPHA when it comes to my advocate videos. The one thing is, you need to be honest with yourself before you even enter the aspect of approaching one person. They could be reading a book. I love reading. I'll show you 2 books I'm reading. Actually make that more than 2 books. Of course, I read them at various points. Here's the first one. This dude right here is intense. John Scalzi, he is an intense writer. I'm still reading this thing, man. I haven't even totally finished. Here's my other book that I will be reading from the same author, or the same author book writer. He's an intense writer. That's the reason why. That's right when I went over to get a book. I was thinking, okay, Star Trek. I'm totally into Star Trek. Okay. With that, I believe in and I strongly support Gene Roddenberry's vision. Of course, you don't truly see that in Star Trek Discovery. You don't see his vision. You don't see Roddenberry's vision in the version of Star Trek known as Discovery. You see that in the original series of Star Trek with Captain James T. Kirk and Captain Pike, played by Jeffrey Hunter. Captain James T. Kirk played by William Shatner or Bill Shatner. And the other famous ones being, of course, Leonard Nimoy, both in the Captain Pike version of Star Trek, the original series, and Leonard Nimoy's character of Spock, Lieutenant Commander Spock, in the Captain Kirk Technicolor version of Star Trek, the original series, and the movies, along with Captain James T. Kirk and Leonard McCoy, aka nickname Bones, and James Doohan as Scotty, and Walter Koenig as Chekhov, and Sulu played by George Takei, Nichelle Nichols playing Uhura. And of course, I can go on. But this dude, this book is totally intense. And I can tell you is that when I was younger, I'm gonna tell you straight up. Okay, when I was younger, mm, say about 7, 8, 9, 10 years of age, right? I saw the original Star Wars before they digitized it. Many years before they digitized it. And I saw the original Empire Strikes Back. Same thing. And also the Return of the Jedi. Same aspect on that one too. And of course, they didn't fully digitize it until they remastered it on DVD about a year and a half or so after they put out after George Lucas put out Star Trek 1, Star Trek 2, and Star Trek 3. I mean, not the Star Trek, but Star Wars 1, 2, and 3, actually. Sorry. And he essentially said, I remember watching parts of his interview when it came to those 6 movies. And mind you, this was before J.J. Abrams took directive control over the Star Wars franchise. Many years. And that is that back then he was thinking of starting where he started with Star Wars 1, 2, and 3, but they didn't have the technical advances that they do now, than that they did in the 1990s and millennium, in the beginning of the millennium. He made Star Wars, the original movie, before they digitized it. Empire Strikes Back, before they digitized it. And Return of the Jedi, before they digitized it on DVD. He made all those during the late 60s, early 70s. But of course, they didn't come out until like the 70s anyway. You might easily correlate it with the That 70s Show, but That 70s Show is a little off base when it comes to the 1970s. And there's only various episodes that I have noticed that, yes. But when I started watching Star Trek, when I was younger, I remember watching Star Trek when I saw my uncle, my grandfather watching it on my mother's side, and I just looked at it closely on the screen as I saw parts of it, right? Then I walked away because I didn't want to interrupt them watching it. But when I watched it many years later, I got fully into it. I understood, and then I went over to see um pardon me the movies from the motion picture of Star Trek, The Wrath of Khan, The Search for Spock, The Voyage Home, The Final Frontier, being 5, Part 6. This came out like months or about a year or so after Roddenberry passed away. Of course, his wife was still around. His wife was still alive. Being, of course, the wife that I'm referring to, he cast it in the original series black and white version with Captain Pike in it, and she played the first officer. But then, of course, later on she played Nurse Chapel in the Technicolor version of Star Trek. Then of the original series. Then Then she played Nurse Chapel in one of the movies of Star Trek with the original cast at some point. Then she played Roxana Troy, a Beta Z, the mother of Deanna Troy, played by Marina Sirtis. And I know Marina Sirtis would like to know that I named one of my children after her. And to also remember um, the now late and great wife of Roddenberry, be that, of course, by the name of Nigel Barrett Roddenberry. I named one of my other children. I'm not going to say which one of the two of the ones I mentioned. And I'm not going to mention gender either, but I did name name her. I named I named her name, and of course, Nigel Barrett's name, in one of my children, in the middle of my children's name. That right there shows also that I'm a Star Trek fan. But the basic fact is, also, I believe and I strongly support Roddenberry's vision, much like Nimoy did in his own way. And I think in a way Shatner does still in his own way too. And I think also DeForest Kelley did as well, which played Dr. Leonard McCoy, aka nicknamed Bones, understood it as well. And the late great James Doohan understood it in his own way. And I know that Walter Koenig, which I still consider the traitor of Star Trek, because the reason I consider Walter Koenig a traitor of Star Trek is because he went over to a different compilation of a sci-fi series known as Babylon 5. Yes, I watched Babylon 5, but right when I saw that, I stopped seeing it because I go, I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to watch a series that has a traitor of Star Trek in it. No, no fucking way. Yes, he might have done it to make a living. I understand that part of it, but he could have easily done something different. Of course, I'm not the type of person to just tell a person what to do, like women try to tell guys what to do. And when they say that they don't, they gradually pull away from the guy and pull away from the relationship between them and the guy because they can't have any actual control. And the one thing is that too, is that the reason there's a reason why I'm not, and this is not all women that do this, okay? But the one thing is when a woman does it, a single woman does it, and I know many men have experienced this with each different woman at various different points, that the woman eventually wants to change the guy. Of what I'm of one of the things that I mentioned, women want to change him to the point where they show more emotion, more feeling. But as I said before, earlier in this video, is when that actually happens, even if it's overabundantly, because the guy still thinks that that's the type of person that the woman wants. They want only a protector in the guy's eyes and mind at this point. If the guy allows this to happen, but they also want to show that how sensitive they can be on various things. They want to show that they're equally as sensitive emotionally, psychologically as the woman. But sometimes they do it a little bit overboard, if not most. Yeah, I know each woman weighs them out differently than any other woman might. But that's the truth. Now, if only a woman would really understand what they're truly asking the guy to do. It's not only be someone different and still try to be the same person that attracted me to you. By saying only one aspect, that you want the guy to show more emotion, be a bit more sensitive than they may show at that point in time, at any point in time within the length of time or time lapse of the relationship. You got to be more descriptive, more, shall we say, um, to the point to where it's not thought of to where it would pull the woman away. And if women are not willing to spend the time to do that to start, then you cannot ask a guy to be more sensitive, show more true emotion, be that positive emotion. You can't do that, ladies. You may think you can because you women think you can get away with anything and everything. That's not the way to be, though. And you might think that you see yourself with a guy for a long time, even after asking, even after saying, "Well, I want you to be more sensitive, a bit more emotion. Show your true positive emotion." There is no base of saying, okay, where is she going? Where is she going by saying this? Does she not accept me for who and how I am and which attracted her to me? This is what the guy would think, okay? Or is she trying to do something that she thinks that guys don't have? That guys hardly ever show, aside from being the protector and defender and romance and lover and what have you else. Women need to be more descriptive. I want you to be more sensitive on and about things. I want you to be show more positive emotion. That doesn't tell a guy a whole lot of shit, ladies. That could be meaning to any number of things, ladies. And that's why a number of men have even in episodes, sitcoms, to name a few, to name one, have gone overboard. And I'm sure a number of men have gone overboard in the real world when it comes to that. To the point where you're turned off by them. Or you pull away from them, ever so gradually. Even if not completely heartbreaking aspect. The guy is still a strong confident person, but yet with not being more descriptive, where you still stay with a person, you cannot do that. You cannot say, I want you to be more in touch with yourself, more in touch with your feelings, more in touch with how you really truly feel about many different things. Show more positive emotion in general. Like I said, women, if you don't take the time to be descriptive than just that, and think guys can read in between the lines in some respect, or understand your full reasons for it, when many guys don't really pay attention too much to it, but yet guys can be emotional, but maybe not as deeply as emotional, maybe not totally as deeply as emotional as women are, because that's not the way we are built. We can still be emotional, granted, yes, because we are human beings. But we are not as in touch with our emotions as women are. And that is not a fault in any base or even thought that women may think, oh, they have faults, like they can't show their true emotions like we can. They are not really fully in touch with their emotions like we women are, so they're not really human beings. Bullshit. Thereby also, ladies, get this. In many religions, and I'm not going to say how many, but I can tell you one of them, in my religion, believes this. And I'm not going to tell you what it is. But the religion is that 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 they believe that women have it easier to get to the gates of heaven after their time is upon this planet. For any given, or even if they have a illness or whatever the hell else, right? And when their time is up on this planet, even if you die young or at any given age for any given reasons, and many of them are not really natural causes either. But in any case, women have it easier to get through the gates of heaven than men do. And that's a given fact. You want to know what type of religion that is? Look for me and talk with me. In person. And you may be an atheist, I don't care. You want to know what it is still? Look for me and talk with me in person. Here's another one. On Sandman's, on MGTOW brother Sandman, he has a video out on YouTube known as the fact that women feminists hate MGTOW. Simply put, because women feminists want to manipulate men. Women feminists want to brainwash men. Women feminists want to completely do a mind altering aspect to men to where the woman is higher up in stature and the man is this way because they that's where women feel. They feel like they're right here when they want the guy to be right here. They want the women want to be here in the feminist, even in the feminist mindset. They can't accept it to where it's like where logically it's like this, but they feel like at times to where the woman is right down here and the guy's way up here, even in the male dominated society. in what people even make how we would call the patriarchal society. Now, I know I mentioned this before. Men, more than hundreds of years ago, there was a society known as the matriarchal. How I found this out? Come and ask me in person. And the matriarchal society was simply a society that was dominated by women, in the sense of women domination. Oh, see, my phone agrees with me. Anyway, yeah, all joking aside, the matriarchal society was where it was a female-dominated society. But something went awry essentially. Something went downhill to where everything had to be reestablished to where now, I mean, from the beginning of then to now, from then to the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and millennium, that it's been the male-dominated society. Or I could say the male-dominated society. Same difference. But yet, with feminists, they don't get that the ERA, in which I, as a humanitarian advocate of CRPHA, support the ERA. Because the ERA marched and protested in 1972 to 1978 for women equality, fairness, freedoms, and various other things, and also the base of independence for women. To start. But yet, that's obviously not enough for women now, huh? Is it now, ladies? You want to dominate more than that. It's not enough that because the ERA has given you freedom to go in the working world. The ERA has made it to where you're able to be independent and survive on your own. It's obviously not enough that the ERA has given you the base of legal constitutional independence when basically in reality that's what our forefathers gave you already, but of course by government standards it may not have seemed that way or even operated that way, or even because of the state government didn't really put that to the main focal point like they should have. But again, it's not the man's fault for that, though. But I know you might think that it is the man's fault, but yet it's not. Regardless of whatever excuse you can come up with, or try to even come up with, it's not the man's fault. The male gender has no correlation, no connection to why and what reason, why didn't they change it type of thing for women in that aspect. Why didn't they put that as an equal focal point as they did for men in general? Even though it was already established in the Constitution of this country. You can never, from this point on, you can never blame the man on that at all. Don't even try it, because you're not being fair at all. You want fairness, you want equality, you want you want you want equal aspects, equal rights and everything. You already have all that. but you cannot put the points of judgment and narcissistic, illogical tendencies and standards in your mind, and try to use some sort of hate or dislike or whatever the hell else towards the man. In what many women, even in today's feminist movement, starting with even with the Me Too movement, are doing or even trying to do to men. And as I have mentioned about the Me Too movement, is that it was a saying that the Me Too movement want men to join. But no man who has any brains up here and he has any confidence within himself and self-assurance within himself would ever go into that. Because that's more of a metaphorical trap to where the women can easily brainwash him and manipulate the guy and have his mindset essentially restructured to where the woman gets their way. To where the man is subservient to the woman or women in general. Ladies, I would not call that fair. I would not call that just. I would not call that logical either. All that is trying to revamp everything to where there's going to have to be a male version of the ERA, to where everything starts over for them because of that. Not going to happen. If you want to know more on that aspect, I'm more than happy to talk to women, but you cannot come up to me in anger, frustration, dislike, distrust, any number of other things that's negative. And even as I start saying things, you cannot automatically put judgment into it. Because you're not really being fair to me if you want me to be fair to you. It's the thing, it's the same guy. With any other guy, if you want the guy to be fair to you, you need to be fair to the guy. If you want respect from the guy, you need to be shown respect and give respect to him. But the one thing is trust. Many women expect the guy to trust them, even right in the first meeting. I've noticed that even online. Trust is earned, it's not simply given. So women need to realize that as well. You can't automatically assume and expect the guy to trust you right off the fucking bat, even after the first meeting. If the guy doesn't have a full base of trust in you, don't attack him for it or even about it, because it takes time to trust a person, and each one has a different variable for that aspect of trust for the woman. But the one thing is, when a guy does actually trust you, you don't use it to your advantage to do things what you think that you can get away with, such as cheating on him because you think he's not doing anything fair for you or right for you. He could easily think the same thing and cheat on you, even without you knowing about it, because women do it without the guy knowing about it, and they think that's okay. And yet, when even if the guy were to find out in any given way, they'll deny it and bullshit about it a lot more than guys do nowadays. And then they want to be forgiven, even after they admit it, even after the woman admits that they cheated on him They want to be forgiven right off the bat and leave it at that. But yet, when the guy does it, and the guy wants forgiveness. They don't. Women don't do. They don't go to the point of forgiving the guy right off the bat all the time. But yet, when the woman does the negative adultery thing, they expect the guy to forgive him and still be with him. Ladies, that's not the base of fairness either. You may think it is because you're a female and you're the weaker sex, as many people still call it. No excuse. Just because you have certain body parts, or just because you're a woman in general, doesn't give you the right to say, "Well, can you please forgive me and still be with me," type of thing. I love you. If women really love the guy, they wouldn't have cheated on the guy at any given point, drunk or not, stoned or not, off their rocker in any aspect or not. And they think now, even nowadays, that guys are the problem. Uh-uh. There's an equal level to that. Women have faults a lot more than men do, and there are men out there that have more faults than a certain percentage of women, and some percentage of both males and females have the same equal levels of faults. There's a variety, if you want to call it. So generally, women cannot expect things that they are not really prepared for. When it comes to, like I mentioned, about the sensitivity and open emotions and shit like that. If there's something that he's done wrong, like say beat you or something, yeah, you can leave him. But you cannot go to the points of like materialism either, ladies. Because materialistic items and whatnot are not truly love. You may say that, oh, I know that, but it doesn't hurt for the guy to buy you things for your birthdays or anniversaries or something, right? But guess what though? When a guy starts doing certain things like that, then you automatically start expecting it more and more and more. You may not admit it, but I know that's a fact. You can't, and many women don't accept guys that have retail jobs that are that are living on a day to day, week by week, or month by month paycheck. Even if they work for fast food restaurants, for example, as well. They want a guy that's well to do, a guy that has hundreds of thousands of dollars in his bank account to start with. If a guy has hundreds of thousands of dollars, like Tom Likas, for example, or like Mark Zuckerberg, or like the founder of Microsoft, or even Apple for that matter. If any guy had that type of money, even like Donald Trump, for example, the guy would be able to get any woman he wants, but he will not fall for those who are only after one thing, and that one thing being his wallet, his bank account. Even to the points of the marriage aspect, even to the points of right when you get what you feel that you can get from him, whether if he's wealthy or not, and then go through the court system, because you feel that you're going to claim that you're not happy with being married to him or with him, that you try to bleed him dry. Those and the other things I mentioned that are negative ways. That's one. Those negative things that I mentioned. You will not be able to go to the gates of heaven, and you're not automatically forgiven. You may repent all you want, but guess what, though? Just because you repent any number of times that you feel is necessary doesn't mean you're automatically forgiven by Heavenly Father or our Savior, or even in our Savior's name, even after doing a number of negative, illogical, sinful things, no matter what they are or have been. The same for the guys, though. But here's the thing, though. Guys will have it. The more women do guys wrong, it'll turn the tides, as it were. Where guys will have it easier to get into the gate and through the gates of heaven, the more women do negative crap. Starting with the feminist movement of today, of this era. Along with the constant base of manipulation and brainwashing that feminist women want to do to even the young boys, sons of the male and female adult. It's gotten so fucking stupid and illogical that there's a teenage kid that has on one video a black shirt with the word feminist on the front, standing in front of a damn camera, trying to encourage young boys to become a feminist. And yet he doesn't know anything about the ERA and what they did and why. He doesn't know what he's asking other young boys to do and why in reality. And I've already explained to the person in the comment is that women will treat him so illogically, so negatively that he doesn't even realize it himself. He's young. I understand that. But it's better to let the person know before it actually happens. If I got that, I would have been able to know what to look for. Even in my first base of dating, my very first base of dating, I would have recognized the signs and everything, but I'm not saying I don't now. I'm not going to say that I didn't at me in my 30s or late 20s, because I knew over time. When I got out of my teens, I started to recognize. It got to the point where I became a make that member. It got to where I was still able to do the MGTOW thing, but also be an advocate, still help the women regardless, right? As an advocate, but also I was able to do this of logical psychiatry because I know psychology a lot more than most people realize. Of how I became to get to know psychology, that's my business. And even if I got to the point of marrying a woman again, and yes, I was once married before, but of course we divorced for reasons, but I will not go into that because it's personal. And no, it wasn't to the point of like where I did something to her or that she did something to me or anything like that. It's nothing like that. Like I said, ladies, if you even judge me, that's a good step to the points to where you will never join Heavenly Father, Heavenly Father and our Savior, by using even that aspect of judgment against anybody, even me, or even the gender. So, ladies, the one thing is, and men, that everything I've said so far is 100% factual, 100% truth, 100% reality. Try to deny it, ladies, you'd be you'd be not doing anything positive for yourself, because you know deep within you it's true. You just don't want people to know it. You will do anything and everything for people to think, oh, that's not the way I am, even though I'm a woman. And then right when you get with a guy, then show that very thing that I mentioned earlier in this video. But believe me, man, there's a lot more to it. And how I know is because I was raised by women myself. And yes, I was out in the field. I know what to watch for. I know what's actually out there and why. I'm not saying there are men that don't, but everybody has a different understanding. I may have a clearer understanding than most. I'm not gonna say that I do have a 100% clear understanding that nobody else is able to grasp yet. I'm not gonna say that, even though it might be in actuality. But at the same time, is that that might be to some people, if not most, that I'm a perfect person. Nobody's perfect, even in that instance. But I will say, watch out for narcissistic women, though, at every age. Outside of their youth. That's where the narcissism usually starts. It's outside their youth, outside their teens. Sometimes not always outside their teens completely, but it happens usually when you'll run into those that are older, like say 30, 40, 50 years of age, 60 years of age, 70 years of age. But sometimes if you go between 60 and 70, you'll notice also senile. I'll go into that in a later time. And also narcissism can go in, it can also mix into be in the base of senile, senility essentially, being of course senile aspects or levels. Truth be told, I'm not gonna say it's only women; it's also men. But you hear more on the aspect of senility essentially, or senile aspects and levels, mostly from women. Because it usually you mostly hear about it only affecting women more than it does men. But yet, that's the thing. Society's ignored the male aspect when it comes to that, but yet they've completely focused on the female aspect. And yet society calls that fair. It's not. There's many things that they focus on women about that they completely ignore men about, but on only various occasions, if not various points, they'll mention, oh yeah, this is what happens also to men. But they don't go fully into it. They only go fully into the base of women. You'll notice this even in the morning news programs and the PBS stations, among others. and yet women consider that, oh, that's okay. That should be the way. It should be left alone that way. Women want fairness, and yet if they think that's okay for society to work it only the way I mentioned, where's the fairness in that, ladies? There's no fairness in that. Women, as well as men, deserve the same level and equality aspect of fairness. Regardless of whatever you may hate or dislike or not fully understand about men, talk to me. Men, if there's anything that you don't like or understand about women, or the same aspect of what I said about men for women, talk to me. I can give you a clear perspective of what those are, of both the for the male when it comes to females, and for the female when it comes to males. The one thing is, ladies and and men, that that the more that is truthfully understood about both genders, it could turn out to be over time, if given the appropriate amount of time by each gender, that the divorce rate can easily go from way the hell up of how high it is, and then gradually shrink to the point of non-existence of divorce, when the base and even thought of divorce is not in one person's mind. I can help and guide you that way. Again, I'm not Einstein, I'm not perfect, but I understand it a lot more than most people realize, or even than most people do. But yet I'm not, and yet I can easily accept that many people don't. It doesn't matter what gender you are. It doesn't matter who you are. You may not have an understanding of your own of it. I accept that and I respect that. But sometimes even our own understanding of things doesn't really help us, though. Now, does it? Doesn't matter what it is, even if when it comes to relationships or the genders or whatever the hell else, even society itself. Even when it comes to politics, the same thing. So generally, there's always going to be a person that knows, maybe that may have a clear understanding that you may or may not know, but you might not come across at some point, even in any type of discussion, even in the beginning of a discussion. And women, this goes for you as well as men, that you might come across a man, for women, that you like hearing what he has to say, even about him, and he may like hearing what you have to say, even about you, to start in the in the beginning part of the discussion, and then kind of build it up from that point. You know what I mean? Then you might be able to find out, okay, what I wonder if he knows about this, or I wonder if she knows about this, or I wonder if he knows about this. Then kind of build up to that base of discussion. See will they go on the base of understanding that, or even if they do fully, they may also go to points of the way you look at it, ladies and men. The woman might go to the points of where you men see it, or think about it, or maybe view it, And for women, it's the same thing. When it comes to men, going in that direction of seeing how, what you think of it and view it and whatnot. There's a lot of information to give you that I gave you to really take into thought. My embryonic of the 1980s sitcom of Blossom may be able to get something out of this if she's watching. And she may have a better understanding, possibly more than she may have before. I'm not gonna say, because like I said, everybody has their own understanding of things. Doesn't matter what it is. But also know that when it came to the divorce aspect, right, things do take time in order for that to actually happen, where divorce goes, you know, even even at a gradual pace. If you'd like to know more, and if you want to talk with me, please let me know on the bottom of the video screen here, and in the comment box, which would be the comment box. And if you have any other ideas that that I should possibly talk about, that you would like to hear me talk about, please let me know. And also be sure to click on subscribe and that little bell. And the more videos I get, the more videos I make, even of this, of logical psychiatry, as well as many of my others, you'll get a notification, be that through your phone, because most of the phones nowadays like this have YouTube, or on your computer or tablet. This is Logical Psychiatry. Live long and prosper. Please stay safe. Have a good day and have a good weekend.